All right, this might be the hardest question for you.
Okay.
So we started in the 50s, and you're 78 years old now, and you've had, gosh, over 60 years in music in some way.
Yeah.
What do you hope your legacy is?
Well, I've been talking to a few people around the area, like Jimmy Wallace and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm thinking, right now I've got 3 things that I need to finish. I built this studio for my dad's music. I wanted the studio big enough that I could do a big band thing, do it live, like they did it in the old school. And I finally got to do this just some months ago. It was called the Rock Ridge Big Band.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. And I brought them all in. They were going to rehearse. One of the horn players that's the leader of the band lives on the corner up here, Larry Spencer. And
I saw your interview with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he brought in all these great players, and most of them North Texas graduates and stuff, but most of them in their senior years and stuff. And I went out to hear them in a rehearsal at a place over in North Dallas one night. And I said, "Oh, you guys would be perfect. I've got one thing left to do." I built this thing for Black Horse to do the second album whenever we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I built it for my dad's music, so I really wanted to experience that and see if I could pull it off.
A big band sound.
Yeah, I had no idea how I was going to do it. But Larry, living over in the corner, I called him up on a Thursday or on a Wednesday. I said, "When are you guys going to rehearse again?" He goes, "Well, we're supposed to tomorrow." I said, "Is there any way y'all could do it out here at the studio and I'll record you and let's have some fun?"
Well, that's an easy question.
And so he called. I said, "All I need them to do is bring their own music stand. I've got 4 or 5, but I don't have 25.
Yeah.
And any comfortable chair that they like to use. Most of them all carry their own."
And this excited you.
Oh, I was just sitting there going, "Can you do it?" And he calls me up and said, "Yeah, we're all good. We'll see you out there about 10 o'clock tomorrow."
I love this.
And do you know who Timothy Wallace lives here? Well, he has his mother used to be married to T. Boone's Pickens, and his family, the Wallace family, started Trinity Industries, the largest family-owned business in Texas.
Okay.
For like 100 years. They built railroad cars, highway stuff, got into mining and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he started, I was coming up here to open up the studio for, I had a film crew that was doing a soundtrack off of my piano out there. And the day before, and they said, "Man, is there any way we could use your barn out there to shoot some stuff over the weekend?" And I said, "Yeah, as long as you don't make noise at Kenny down there as a film guy. If you got to do any kind of loud stuff up there." They said, "Oh, no. They were making a remake of Thunder Road. And they had a hot Camaro sitting out there with a little campfire behind it."
Nice.
So I'm driving up on Saturday morning to open the gate to let them in. And I pull up there, and here's a brand new Escalade sitting there with the paper on the window. And I pull up beside it, and he's right by the driveway, but on the road out there. And I said, "Excuse me, are you one of the crew guys for the movie?" And he, no. He says, "Actually, I bought this land. I mean, we've been praying for 20 years that nobody would buy that pasture out there." Now there's houses starting to build up.
I noticed that, yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I just bought this land out here, and I was coming to look at it." But he said, "Is there a recording studio out here somewhere?" And I went, "Yeah, actually there is." He said, "Well, I have a nephew that gave me, and his name was like Aiden, which, not a normal name that I'd always hear."
Yeah.
And I said, 4 young guys came out. I did a session for him. And he says, he gave me a CD, and he says, "Uncle Tim, this is the finest studio in the world." He said, "Man, it was just," he said, "we just went in there and tore it up and had so much fun." And me and Aiden, one of the things that I look as a legacy for me is I love, I was going to be a school teacher if all these things hadn't happened to me along the way, and a coach. And so I really enjoy, talking with young kids, because almost every one of them, the first question is, how do we make a living doing what we love to do? And I said, first you got to find it here, because if you really love it, you can accomplish anything, I feel. And so, anyway, Tim gets, the nephew's CD, and he had just started a thing called Dallas Music Network. And he was going to do like an iTunes type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad, granddad, and great granddad had all been CEO of Trinity Industries for like 40 years of their life, and then handed over here to the next one down, then handed over here, and then when it got handed to him, he did about 20 years and just thought about it because, gosh, I've got more money than I could even dream of trying to spend. He said, I just decided I wanted to give back. So I resigned and sold a lot of the interest of the company away and started Dallas Music Network. And we had a good talk about it. And he said, I'd love to invite you. He said, every Saturday night, he said, I've got people down in the garment area, down there off Lemon and Oklahoma area and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He says, and I do this thing, I bring in video people from Austin and everybody. I went to, he says, I'd love to have you come out and see what we're doing. And I said, sure. And so it was Saturday afternoon. I said, well, I need to go to Whole Foods and do some shopping and stuff. So I'll go down to Tim's and see this thing. Then I go to Louis first and have 2 margaritas and a pizza, hit my 5 minutes in Whole Foods, and then drive over to this place. And I'm sitting there just, and this COVID was pretty strong. Everybody was masked up. And I go in and I'm just blown away by the professional. Everybody there were top of the line.
Yeah.
Filmmakers and stuff out of Austin came up, and so it was all going well. I thought he might want me to do something in audio, and I'd go over to the audio guy, and I said, man, these guys, they got it all together, and I'm telling him. And he decides, he said, could I rent your studio sometime and maybe do something out of it? And I'm sure, of course you can. Well, he came out and he brought 3 ladies that all had a song they wanted to record for the Dallas Music Network. And he brought out, oh gosh, I mean, it was Erykah Badu's drummer, this guy over here, and here's this, young Hispanic guitar player, looked like he's 16 years old, and he's playing like Barney Castle. I mean, just unbelievable player. And then guy walks in, and it's Bobby Ray Sparks. And I'm going, Sparks! Yeah, and he just had 2 heart attacks and was now recovering. And I'm sitting there going, who contacted you? He said, oh, so-and-so in the band. And so we had it all live in there, and all 3 of the ladies sitting right there, and we recorded each one of their songs, and the other 2 would do backups on each, the other artist stuff. So we did it all, and did a lot of interviews with each and every.
I saw that. Yeah, that's where I saw those interviews. Yeah.
Did you see Pappy's place?
I did.
That was it. Well, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm humping to get it because I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of instruments, and it's all live and everything. And so at the end of the night, there's an engineer named Mav. He calls himself Mav Tracks. Yeah, and he's a real strong black man that really knew his Pro Tools stuff, and I knew they weren't going to do it Pro Tools, and it's not what I like to use. This was built to do analog.
Analog, yeah.
So I just got all the tones and sounds on them, and so him and another guy named RT or something like that did all that part of it. And so at the end of the night, all the video and stuff, they transferred all to my computer, and Mav left, and it was about maybe 9 o'clock, something like that. We started in the afternoon, ran most of the day. Anyway, he's at home, and I'm sending him all the files, and it's going to take 4 or 5 hours to do that. So I'm sitting here kind of doing stuff, cleaning up in the studio, and I'm looking over every once in a while to see how it's going. And he calls me up about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, how close are we getting to it? And so I popped the computer and pulls up. And I said, it looks like it says 5 minutes or something like that. And he goes, oh, great. He said, well, I'm going to bed, so send me an email when it's done from you, or send me a text or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I go ahead and open it up and get to the home page on it, and I look up on there. and the title of it is Pappy's Place, Episode 1. And I went, what? I had no idea this was happening.
They surprised you with it.
Oh, they surprised me good, and they had all these interviews and all these people talking about the studio and Pappy, and he's even got a bowl of pecans on the table, just like grandmothers, this kind of stuff. And I'm going, okay. And the best part of that was, I've been dating a lady out of Chicago that I met at the Grammys through another friend.
Right.
And her husband was Marty Feldman, who owned Paragon Studios.
I know Marty Feldman, yeah.
And I mean, they've got platinum records stacked like pancakes
Yeah.
in the basement.
Yeah.
And then they've got 40 of her in her workroom. She's a school teacher. She's a really high level.
You're good.
She's a high level gal at the Chicago Art Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And so they interviewed me over there at that show that I went to that night, and they asked me, I understand that you're dealing with some health issues and everything. I said, real quickly, I said, yeah. I went to the doctor and found out I had stage 4 cancer, and started that journey. And that's after I'd watched my sweet lady who had cancer and homeopathically almost cured herself completely of endometrium uterine cancer. And she did it all holistically and everything for like 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. And then went into Marin County Hospital. It was a really good doctor, and they went in and snipped out the little rest of it. Mm-hmm. And she was done. And so we had a little talk about all that, and so all that ends up on Pappy's Place thing, and they showed it without me even seeing it. And I'm going, oh boy, I don't know what.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I like it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And the big bad is Pappy's Place Episode 2.
Yep.
And we've never got it past all the stuff that they sent it. They sent all the video to some group in Tulsa, that they knew or whatever, and they sent us a rough copy of it and everything. But the interviews that we did with Larry right here, the audio, he had some lives that he didn't really care for, but that's all he had. Mm-hmm. We kind of went through some of my stuff, and I said, well, this is good enough,
right?
But they had really good level on the interviews, and when they sent us the copy of the whole edited thing, the interview like this, like this, when the music come out, and so I'm having to try to relate to these people in Tulsa, and they just didn't get it. I said, I sent you 0 reference. The music cannot. The voices cannot be this loud, and the music comes on, and you have to turn the stereo 10 or 15.
It's like Hulu. It's like watching Hulu.
And so, so it never, as far as I know, it's never got past that. They couldn't. They just didn't know how to match it. I said, I can't do anything more than send you the same copy that I sent you. I said, and somewhere in there, you got to be able to have the audio on this thing on the mixture. And I don't know if they ever got it done or not, because I haven't heard anything more about it.
Well, I want to try to wrap this up like this. This is a working studio.
Yeah.
I want people to know that out there. This is Palmyra Studios in Palmer, Texas.
Yeah.
And you guys can find it at palmyrastudios.com, and it's just a wealth of information on here. You can rent this studio. You guys can come out here, and Pappy will work you on your music in this studio. This is a working studio. That's important for you guys to know that. But to wrap up your legacy, it's right here on your webpage, and I want to try to add a little bit to it to perhaps pull this episode together. Palmyra was an ancient city in Syria that was founded by King Solomon, son of David and Bathsheba, and it was just north of Damascus. It was an arts and cultural mecca. It became a powerful trade center during the days of Marco Polo. Now, in Native American legend, Palmyra was a place where you never grow old, a place you would never die, kind of like music.
That's it.
And I would add, like Pappy Middleton.